So we're gonna put the potatoes on it together. This is a classical French dish. We're gonna do it a little bit different. We're gonna add some Parmesan cheese and a little parsley to it just to kind of liven it up. Traditionally it's just basically potatoes and butter. Seems like a ton of butter, but I'm gonna take about 6 ounces of butter, 8-inch skillet, and just slowly start to melt that down on the grill, or on the stove, sorry. Been a long night in the kitchen. While that's melting down, I'm going to take my parsley. I'm just going to kind of separate that and give it a quick chop. You know, one of the things with herbs, I believe it's important not to over mince them, but to get them thoroughly. This is where a good sharp knife comes in. Some of those herb mashers and things, I believe they actually, there are cutters that you kind of mash down. I think they mash the herbs rather than cutting it. So when that's done, we're just going to take that, put it off to the side. Grab our mandolin. So for those of you that have not used one of these, watch your fingers. It's very good for slicing potatoes and other vegetables uniformly. However, it will chip away at your fingers and whatnot. So as the butter's melting down behind me, I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. We're going to start slicing our potatoes down. So it's important to have the potatoes washed, obviously, but it's also very important to keep the uniformity of the potatoes thin and consistent. As this dish bakes and cooks, the starch of the potatoes are what's going to hold it together. So we really want to do 1 or 2 slices. That's way too thin. To check our consistency. And then we do not want to slice these and put them in water. If you want to peel them, that's fine. Peel them, slice them, then into the pan, but you never want to put the potatoes in water because we need all those starches to hold them together. So I'm just going to take, if you're really looking for a nice, consistent, probably 1/8 of an inch consistency, and I'm just going to go ahead and do about 2 potatoes for 4 people. Do not feel you need to do it this fast. If you want to use a guard, use the guard by all means. I've been using a mandolin a long time. Have some cuts to prove it. But nice and consistent whole slices. I'm going to start with 2 potatoes and see if I need 3. It's been a while since I made these. This is also one of those dishes that you can scale up. So if you want to make it for 8 people, use like an 8-inch, 10-inch Teflon pan or well-seasoned cast iron skillet. I would say the butter is an important part of the dish. However, if you want to substitute olive oil, things like that, it'll work. It just might not be as, it might not stick together as well. As far as cheese, we're going to use a little Parmesan in this. You can substitute any hard cheese, cheddar, Gouda, things like that. It'll help it stick together a little bit. It'll also help to season it. There's our potatoes. I would not do the potatoes more than about 20 minutes ahead of making this dish, just because they'll start to oxidize. So our butter, just kind of melt it. Just gonna put it in there for a moment. Now we're actually going to build our dish, build everything right in here. I'm going to start with salt and pepper. A little bit of the butter back in. And then I'm just going to start shingling potatoes around the dish. I'll try not to burn myself. It's very important for the integrity of this dish that you have your potatoes overlapping somewhat. You want nice even layers, and then you want to get layers of cheese and herbs in between them all. So I'm actually gonna just kind of keep going around. I'll change directions a couple times, and I'll see if I can get the potatoes dizzy. I won't season every layer. I'll season about every third or fourth layer. And the other thing I'll do is I will load this up over top of the pan. I would also recommend Idaho potatoes for this, just because the starch content and whatnot will help it stick together at the end. So it's just a lot of layering. If you have kids you want to keep busy, tell them they're going to put a puzzle together or something fun like that. As far as the pan, I'd recommend something that's non-stick. If you're doing something bigger, you have a nice non-stick or well-seasoned cast iron pan, that'll work great. Just a little butter, and I'll probably have everybody go, no, that's too much butter. A lot of it runs off at the end when you flip this over from the pan.